In the headlines tonight, American analysts say Ethiopia is a strategic ally for UAEs in the continent. British Interior Minister defended controversial plan to deport asylum seekers in the UK. Cruel one. Good evening to you all. A very warm welcome to ETV News. I'm Grum Tariku. President Sahle-Work Zewde said people with Down syndrome or retardation is neglected but needs special attention. She made the remark while the International Day of Down Syndrome is marked under the theme About Us, With Us at Friendship Park. The President emphasized that the awareness-raising work should be strengthened and the society should give equal opportunities to this segment of the community. She pointed out that the day should be marked throughout the year through embracing the vulnerable community. The Minister of Health, Dr. Leah Tadessa, for her part, said Down syndrome needs emphasis, but a lot remains to be done. Dr. Leah further said works started by the ministry will continue to be strengthened to provide better services to those who are in Down syndrome. The founder of Deborah Foundation, Abadullah Gamada, said the citizens with Down syndrome are equally as important as any other citizen. World Down Syndrome Day is an awareness day officially celebrated by the United Nations since 2012. The day also marked the creation of Global Voice in support of the rights, inclusion and safety of people with disabilities. An American political and economic analyst Lawrence Freeman and fellow American journalist Hammond underscored that Ethiopia is a strategic nation in the African continent. They also said the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's visit to Ethiopia is a clear indication of an attempt by the Biden administration for a positive relationship with East African nation. The U.S. needs to build a robust bilateral relationship with Ethiopia, they stressed. Shagai Matau has more from Ethiopian News Agency.
Secretary Blinken had an official visit in Ethiopia last week and met various officials in a bid to consolidate bilateral ties between the two countries. The American political and economic analyst Lawrence Freeman and fellow American journalist Hammond suggested that the United States and Ethiopia need to have robust bilateral relationships between them. Lawrence Freeman told Ethiopian News Agency that the visit was a significant move by the United States to refresh the relationship between the two countries.
It's clear that there's an attempt by the U.S. government to move forward in resuming some kind of positive relationship with Ethiopia. And I think that from what I can tell, the government of Ethiopia sees this visit as positive and significant in resuming the relations with the United States. There's two things going on that I think behind this trip by the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. One is that since the summit, U.S.-Africa summit in December in Washington, D.C., the Biden administration has sent over a number of officials and more around the way to try to regain its influence in Africa. The summit in December in Washington, which the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed attended.
Freeman also added that the United States is of course seeking to influence what's on the African continent. However, this high-level visit by Secretary of State Blinken is more than that.
For this high-level visit by Secretary of State Blinken is more than that. I think the United States or some faction of people in the government, in the Biden administration, have realized that it's to have a working relationship with Ethiopia. One is because it's a dominant nation in the Horn of Africa. It's the second most populous nation on the continent. It is leading in many ways in terms of its economic policy.
Similarly, fellow with the Center of Media and Peace Initiatives and award-winning American journalist Joseph Hammond said Blinken's visit is a positive step for Ethiopia and America relationships.
I think this visit was a positive one for Ethiopian-American relations. I think that this visit is a victory for those in the administration who support stronger relationship between the United States and Ethiopia. I think that within the White House and the administration, there have been two factions on the approach to Ethiopia, and the trip is a real victory for those of us who support stronger U.S.-Ethiopian relations. I think that the outcome here will be to the beneficial of both countries.
As the U.S. government has given special attention to building a better relationship with Africa, Ethiopia is a very strategic nation in the continent, Hammond added.
That one of the big priorities for this administration is to build better relationships with Africa. In addition to Blinken's trip to Ethiopia, he's going to Niger. We know that Vice President Kamala Harris will also be going to Ghana, Tanzania, and Zambia for a major democracy forum as well. So this administration has really prioritized Africa. And if they're going to prioritize Africa, you have to involve Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the second most populous country in Africa. It is a rapidly developing and industrialized country, very important country, one of the pillars of African stability.
Furthermore, Hammond noted that Ethiopia is also a rapidly developing country and one of the pillars of African civility.
The Ethiopian Air Force is currently reinvigorating itself to further upsurge its effectiveness as well as to guard local and regional peace, said Lieutenant General Yilma Merdasa, the Commander-in-Chief of the Ethiopian Air Force. A group of military attachés from different countries, led by Brigadier General Mayasorda Natigia, Secretary General of Association of Military Attachés of different countries based in Ethiopia, visited the Ethiopian Air Force. Lieutenant General Yilma Merdasa, in his remarks during the visit, said that the Ethiopian Air Force is one of the earliest aviation institutions in the continent in its history of deploying aviation technology. The Ethiopian Air Force is also exemplary in peacekeeping missions, he recalled. The Air Force Chief mentioned that the visit of the military attachés is vital for the Ethiopian Air Force, which is known for cooperating with other countries across the world through aviation technology. Lieutenant General Yilma Merdasa further noted that the Ethiopian Air Force is ready to strengthen its partnership with the military attachés and experts of each country on the basis of mutual benefit. On his part, Brigadier General Mayasorda Natigia said that the Ethiopian Air Force is on a remarkable journey of change in its structural organization, upskilling of manpower, and acquisition of modern aviation weapons. Colonel Marco Podi, the Italian military attaché in Ethiopia, and Colonel Jean-Marc Ozan, the French military attaché, stated that they have strong ties with the Ethiopian military in other fields. They added that their visit will enable to transfer experience and expertise between the countries, especially in the field of aviation technology. Scholars from South Africa and Gambia said that the transitional justice which their countries have put in place formerly is best solution for countries such as Ethiopia who had experienced conflicts. The scholars shared their respective countries' experience that transitional justice had contributed to build a better future in countries grappled with conflicts. Tigran Sarnesa's Ethiopian News Agency's file.
Scholars approached by Ethiopian news agency said that the way South Africa and Gambia went through in the transitional justice process will give Ethiopia a better experience. Ethiopia has been developing a transitional justice policy document which is expected to contribute to sustainable peace through reconciliation, compensation, and prosecution in the country, it was indicated. Recalling transitional justice has contributed to sustainable peace, reconciliation, and justice in many countries' endeavors to transition from conflict and authoritarian rule to kickstart the democratization process and post-conflict reorganization of political systems. As many African countries have ample evidence of transitional justice practice, among which South Africa and Gambia are mentioned in this regard. The head of the Institute for Justice and Reconciliation at the University of Freetown in South Africa, Professor Tim Muruthi, praised Ethiopia for starting the process of transitional justice to solve its problems. The professor, who has also done extensive research on transitional justice in Africa, said that Ethiopia is a historical and symbolic country of Africa and hoped the transitional justice would solve the deep-rooted challenges.
We are here to support, provide some ideas, to share some ideas with the Ethiopian government, the Ministry of Justice, on how to design its transitional justice policy going forward. For me, I think the important thing is identifying what happened in the past, how the people are dealing and coping with this. So I think there's an element of mental health, psychosocial support to individuals and communities who have been affected, the victims and the survivors, but also to look for how going forward, we can begin to undertake peace-building processes across all of the regions of Ethiopia, including all the regions that were affected, to find a way to build a much more nationally cohesive and socially cohesive society going forward.
If I would appeal for anything, it would be that the process be consultative, that everyone is included and everyone is consulted, and it would be transparent too, that everyone knows exactly what's going on. I think that's very, very important in every transitional justice process.
Gambian scholar Dr. Papa Gale Jallo stressed on his part that the importance of transitional justice, especially for countries like Ethiopia, is unquestionable.
A society cannot move forward without dealing with the past, especially with past human rights violations. Every society, Ethiopia and other countries that have gone through conflict and authoritarianism, need to face the past to find out what went wrong and to chart a course for the future. So it's very, very important that Ethiopia goes through this process.
Jallo, who was also former Executive Secretary General of the Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission, TRRC, of Gambia, said Ethiopia has been making a great move to ensure transitional justice. He further pointed out that a society cannot move forward without dealing with the past, especially on human rights violation. Every society, Ethiopia and other countries have gone through conflict and authoritarianism, need to face the past and chart a course of future. So it is very important that Ethiopia go through this process, he noted. Professor Tim Muruthi also indicated the necessity of transitional justice which South Africa implemented to resolve the pains of the apartheid.
Ethiopia is said to replace Kenya in position 4 as the country's armed conflict subsides and ambitious economic reform driven to open up one of the Africa's fastest growing but most closed countries. The IMF experts of the economies of Ethiopia and Angola this year to expand by 13.5% and 8.6% respectively on dollar terms. However, Kenya is projected to record a slower growth of 2.4% in the review period as the country grapples with aftershocks of COVID-19 pandemic, drought, election jitters, and disruption of global supply chain by the Russia-Ukraine war. Kenya is said to be replaced by the third largest economy in sub-Saharan Africa by Angola and Ethiopia, weakening the East African country's power to tap investors enticed by a population that has more cash to spend. Faster GDP growth in Angola and Ethiopia will see Kenya relegated to number 5 in sub-Saharan African economic ranking, according to projections by the International Monetary Fund, IMF, which shows Nigeria as the largest economy on the continent.
Welcome to the land of origins. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia is pleased to serve all your traveler banking needs. If you have money from any of these 16 countries, you can convert it to local currency by visiting our nearest branch. Alternatively, our secure Forex ATMs accept cash exchange, or if you prefer using your cards, we've partnered with Visa, MasterCard, and UnionPay so that you can withdraw cash from our local ATMs or make cashless transactions at thousands of local POS partners securely and with confidence. We are linked with more than 700 global banks through our direct SWIFT address, CBE Teta. We also work with 16 international money transfer agents, out of which Tune and World Remit enable you to make direct deposits into our savings and current accounts or our popular CBE Burr mobile wallet. Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the bank you can always rely on.
I just want to tell you guys, Akwaba, Karibu, welcome to Ghana!
My name is Princess Hatia. I am the globe-trotting princess and author. Welcome to my city, Accra. Accra is the capital of Ghana. Now, today I'm taking you on a tour to various places in the city. We're currently at the Independence Square in Accra. Now, the Independence Square is the second largest square in the world after Tiananmen Square. Accra has about 4 million people. Accra is a major economic trading hub of Ghana. We're in Makola Market. Makola Market is the second largest market in West Africa. This is where I come to buy all my fabrics, food stuff. It's a busy, bustly place. It's a lovely place to come. So if you want to get any souvenirs, Makola Market is the place to come. Now, come on with me.
Welcome back, and you are watching ETV News. Britain's Home Secretary Suella Braverman arrived in Rwanda on Saturday for a visit aimed at reinforcing the government's commitment to its controversial agreement with Kigali to deport some asylum seekers to the African country. After meeting with officials, she toured a construction training academy in the capital, Kigali, where she spoke to graduates of a training course which will be offered to refugees. Her trips come 11 months after the Conservative government signed the deportation agreement with Rwanda as part of the measures intended to deter migrants from reaching the UK on dangerous journey across the English Channel. Under the scheme, some of those who arrive in Britain in small boats will be flown to Rwanda, where their asylum claims will be processed. Those granted asylum will stay in the African country rather than return to the UK. But the $170 million plan has been mired in legal challenges, and no one has yet been sent to Rwanda.